Okay, we're looking live. Elle Ingalls here with pressure-free.com. And on this episode, I'm going to talk about feeling abused, feeling hurt, sensitivities, because those are certainly things that can very easily cause us to trigger the fight or flight stress response. And it can be so subtle, and we might not even be realizing it. So, Uh, gosh, I've been working on this for almost 16 years now and working on myself. And it really wasn't until halfway through that period of time that I noticed that I would trigger the stress response for things that were environmentally upsetting me. So it could be sounds, smells, the way cloth feels, the way fabrics feel. I know people, maybe you know people too, who don't want tags in their clothes, like they'll cut their tags out. Certain tags I cut out. I just don't want to have that feeling on the back here or on my waist. Um, Even things like socks, like when there's seams in socks. I know runners who don't want to have any seams in their socks because they feel it. They're very sensitive to it. So by noting what you might be sensitive to, that can be very helpful in noting some of your habitual triggers that cause the stress response. Like how many times a day do you feel certain things, or how many times a day do you smell a certain thing? Um, One of my young clients, he was in middle school, he had a reaction, an overreaction to the smell of burning butter. Like if his parents were cooking something in the kitchen and the butter was getting too hot, he realized that he was triggering the stress response because of that simple thing. Um, as a classical violinist, sounds, I'm very sensitive to sounds. And so I will hear something and just have a reaction. I don't like to hear yelling voices. I don't like to hear arguments. So, like even in movies, sometimes I cover my eyes or cover my ears. It's like, I just don't want to hear that. Or I turn down the volume if something's going on that is um, it just hits one of my sensitivities. I would have to say too that by understanding these sensitivities, I've become a lot more able to not trigger the stress response. Like I see it and I relax my belly so I feel safe. We'll get into that in a minute when I get into tools for you here. Um, Anytime we're hurt, we could be verbally hurt. Somebody could send you a text message that's hurtful, or physically hurt. Um, it could be accidental, it could be for real, and that kind of gets into abuse as well. Those are definitely things that can cause us to trigger, and the memories of them can cause us to trigger. So, PTSD, a lot of anxiety disorders, there are things in our past that just keep coming up for us, and it's really hard to to not remember, to not have the memory cause us to trigger again. So I want to talk about that for a little bit because I've done some studying on memory and the brain and fight or flight. And if you know people who are in emergency services, any sort of police, EMT, that sort of thing, you'll note that they go through training to know that if you're interviewing someone right after an event happens, they probably can't recall it all, but give them 24 hours and they'll start to piece things together. But even what they're piecing together is what I like to say corrupted. So if we trigger fight or flight and something is happening to us that's rather traumatic, we're going to lodge a memory that is not completely pure. It's corrupted, and that's on purpose. That's why you may have missing memories, things you don't remember. It's really a safety mechanism if you think about it, because if something really often awful happens to us, um, our brain is protecting us from having that memory just usurp all. So whatever has happened, you have that memory. Now, every time you revisit the memory, you're probably triggering the stress response. So now that has another iteration, if you will. It's calculus, really. Another iteration of corruptness. And then it just keeps going and going and going till you're an adult and you have this thing that happened when you were a child. If we went back and hovered over and could actually see the event, it might be very different than what actually happened. Here's a way you can know that. If you get together with people you knew back in your childhood, family, friends, and someone recalls a story about the past, I guarantee there'll be someone in the room who'll say, no, 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 it wasn't like that. Uncle Dick said that, or Uncle John said that, or, it's not the way that's not what happened, right? The perceptions are different. So some people in the room have triggered the stress response. Some people haven't triggered the stress response, and it doesn't really matter. We always have these lenses through which we're taking in any information. And that's why people can remember events very, very differently. So these memories of events, I love to help my clients who've had things happen like that, just kind of realize that, okay, so this is now a story, and some of it may be fiction and some of it may be true. The question is, what do you want to do with that story? And when you start to have that memory again, can you prevent triggering the stress response so that you protect yourself and have a better day? You protect your mind, you protect your body, you protect every cell of you. So moving into that idea of, well, this is kind of a tenet in my coaching. I really believe people deserve a fulfilling life, a beautiful life. Now, yes, we're going to have a ton of challenges. Life is very messy. But no matter what those challenges are, there's like this core within us that I believe we truly deserve to have fulfilling things happen for us. So if we're caught in these memories, if we're caught in situations where we are feeling a lot of abuse, and the first step is if you can prevent the stress response, now you can take it and create an action plan. You can actually think about what you want to do. You can choose how you're going to respond to the situations. It really changes up our personal power to handle things, handle the memories, handle the situations. Um, it's harder when you're a child. One of my children, the first day of kindergarten, I picked them up and they're quite upset. I said, "Oh, how did it go?" And they said, "Well, I'm so worried. The teacher had to yell all day. I'm so worried she's going to have a sore throat." He was concerned about his teacher, right? Now, my husband and I, we don't raise our voices very much unless it's like in fun, um, or singing or blasting out a song or something. And he wasn't used to a raised voice. And teacher's got a big classroom. She's just that's how she teaches. And he just wasn't used to that. So he was sensitive to that kind of a voice and that kind of a sound. You may find you have some of those sensitivities. Um, Things can scare us. People who have authority over us can scare us. For example, I had a client who would just see her boss coming down the hallway, probably not even stopping at her office, but just seeing her boss coming down the hallway was a trigger for her. So afraid she's going to be called out on something or something's not right. Um, I saw it depicted in a movie the other night. Like, you get called into a meeting and you think it's going to go this way. So sensitivity, fear of creating worry that I call negative fake worry, like you don't know how things are going to go, but you're already spinning a negative story. That's something to watch too. So here's a tool. I'm going to go kind of deep on this tool because for all of this kind of things that I have on the board here for feeling hurt, feeling abused, sensitivities, it boils down really to a safety issue that you feel unsafe. You feel unsafe with a certain person. You feel unsafe in a certain environment. Um, you feel unsafe. Like a lot of children feel very unsafe at school. Um, or people feel unsafe in social situations too, that they're being judged. Anytime you feel we're being judged. So those kinds of I'll call them sensitivities for lack of a better word this morning. So I talk about relaxing the abs. I'm sure if you watch my show, you've heard me talk about that, but I really want to go deeper on that. So if you place your hands on your belly and just relax your abs, just let your it's not like you're sticking out your belly necessarily, but you're letting the muscles relax 360 degrees, like all the way around in your back, your whole lower torso. And now run your hands over to where your belly tucks back in, assuming your belly's kind of come out a bit, right? Right in that. So get your pinky edge of your hands in that spot. And now see if you can relax that spot. So those muscles there, our abs and our lower abs, those muscles are keeping tension in a protection. We don't have ribs down there, so we're protecting ourselves with these muscles, and we'll hold a ton of tension there. And we have trainers and people telling us to suck in our abs all day, to tighten our abs all day. But no other animal does that unless they're afraid. So if you can keep your abs more relaxed, that's going to signal to your brain that you're actually okay because this is body armor. You don't, if you're telling your brain you don't need body armor, then there's this subconscious thing is going to go down where it's like, okay, there's no reason to overreact here. There's no reason to go into fight or flight. So relax those way lower abs. And then I learned this from my body coach. If you sit up a little bit and grab your butt, you have permission to grab your own butt and pull the muscles back and wide so your glutes are rising up your spine and you're sitting on your hamstrings, your leg bones. Okay. So if you're sitting on your leg bones, your glutes are behind you. If you feel now, you have a nice curve in your lumbar the moment you do that. Now in that position too, first of all, it can feel a little vulnerable because you've just opened up this very vulnerable area, right? And if you feel now, you've got your lumbar going. So in this position, it's like that expression, I've got your back. In this case, your muscles are rising up your spine. It's like you have your own back. Now, if you take your hands, grab your thighs, turn your quads in on both legs, and now you're really open down low. So you could feel a couple things. You could feel a little vulnerable, but you could also feel like you're starting to ground, like get very sturdy in your lower abs. Keep those lower abs super relaxed. I call this sitting on a diamond. And there's some people in my city who think that is absolutely hilarious. I spoke at a conference once and well, actually I wasn't even going to speak. And this person's like, have her teach us about sitting on a diamond. So sitting on a diamond, you've created a diamond with four bones, your two sits bones, and then your pubic bone and your backbone, your spine. So that's the diamond, right? But if you tuck your butt and tuck your and get your quads not open like I just had you, you'll feel that your lumbar is flat. Okay, your lumbar is flat. You're almost in a C curve with your spine. You're much more tempted to slump over, okay, because you're also protecting too. But you'll slump over in either laziness or fear. And everything down low is tight. There's a little expression, tight. I'll give you, you figure out what the other thing is. Grab your butt, and that'll tell you tight, right? We're talking about money. So as I think about like opening up the glutes, opening up the quads, like getting the hips open, getting that whole area open and soft and relaxed in the front, you've got your own back. You're not tight down there. So that area of your body I think of as your safety, your love, your power, and your money. So if you have money issues, you're probably clenching tightly down there. You're trying to protect, but you gotta let money in. Love, same thing. The lower abs are protecting our most precious organs. When you can relax there, there's definitely an opening to receive. And then empowerment. So it's like sometimes I notice when I have a client get in this position, their face starts to glow. I remember a football player I was working with, And all of a sudden their face was just glowing. And when they got the glutes back too and lifted the head up, like it was a game changer. Like so handsome, got into this like true form, if you will. So doing that, um, it really elevates our blood flow, our nerve flow, our energy flow. And if you notice too, if you just lift your ribs up, so we're elongating the front of our body. Again, that's a signal to the brain. There's no reason to go into fight or flight here. I feel confident. I feel fine. Elongating the body, just lifting the ribs. Now everything is more relaxed. So I hope that's helpful. Relaxing the front of your body is going to help you instantly protect yourself, believe it or not, protect yourself from any sort of overreaction to sensitivities, to something somebody says to you. Someone says something to you in anger, it doesn't necessarily mean they're angry at you. They're angry at something, but it could be their own selves. So have some, I love to use the word play. Like play with some of these concepts. Just see what starts to happen when you get the front of your body soft and the lower torso of your body more open, your glutes rising to support you. You've got your own back. So I wish you a beautiful pressure-free day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.